The Tour de Nesle Affair was a scandal of immense proportions involving the French royal family in the early 14th century, leading to serious political and dynastic ramifications for France. At its core, the affair revolved around allegations that the daughters-in-law of King Philip IV, Marguerite, Blanche, and Jeanne, engaged in adulterous relationships with two brothers, Philip and Walter of Aunay. The discoveries of these affairs in 1314 led to a cascade of events, including arrests, trials, and executions, profoundly affecting the French monarchy's stability and credibility. This scandal holds significant importance because it not only undermined the moral and ethical standing of the Capetian dynasty, but also had tangible political consequences. The revelation of infidelity raised doubts about the legitimacy of royal heirs, thereby threatening the succession line and stirring dynastic wars. The ensuing scandal weakened the monarchy's grip and contributed, at least in part, to the eventual outbreak of the 100 Years' War between France and England, as questions of succession intertwined later with national rivalries. Real-world examples underscore the affair's repercussions. For instance, Queen Marguerite and Blanche, after being found guilty, faced severe punishment. Marguerite was imprisoned and eventually died under mysterious circumstances in confinement, while Blanche endured a similar fate. The disgrace and demotion of their husbands, future kings of France, showcased the immediate impact on political fortunes within the court. Meanwhile, the scandal inspired literature and drama. For example, La Tour de Nesle, a 19th-century play by Alexandre Dumas, encapsulates its enduring legacy as a cultural touchstone. Opinions about the affair sometimes emphasize the overreach of monarchy in private matters, arguing that such extreme measures amplified the scandal. Critics might suggest that this reaction displayed a disproportionate use of power that, instead of suppressing scandal, magnified its impact. Challenges and controversies persist in evaluating the affair. Some historians argue over the veracity of the accusations, considering them possibly exaggerated or politically manipulated, which complicates the narrative surrounding events. Additionally, contrasting views highlight the affair's exploitation by Philip IV's enemies, who sought to delegitimize his successors. Overall, the Tour de Nesle affair is inextricably linked to the broader narrative of medieval French politics. It exemplifies how personal scandals within a monarchy can spill over into national affairs, influencing wars, succession disputes, and ultimately, the historical trajectory of an entire nation. The key figures involved in the scandal within the Tour de Nesle affair pertains to the prominent individuals integral to the unraveling of this infamous episode in French history. At the heart of the scandal were the daughters-in-law of King Philip IV of France, Marguerite, and Blanche of Burgundy, and Jeanne of Burgundy, all of whom were accused of engaging in extramarital affairs. Their alleged paramours were the brothers Gautier and Philippe d'Aunay, who were said to have had secret liaisons with the royal women within the confines of the Tour de Nesle. The significance of these key figures lies in the explosive impact their alleged indiscretions had on the French monarchy, triggering a cascade of events that significantly shaped the political and dynastic landscape of medieval France. The immediate fallout resulted in severe punishments. The sisters faced infamy and imprisonment, while the d'Aunay brothers met a gruesome execution. More broadly, the scandal sowed distrust and discord within the Capetian dynasty, exacerbating tensions that eventually contributed to the outbreak of the 100 Years' War. Indeed, the affair undermined the stability of the French crown, weakening its standing at a time when internal cohesion was paramount. A real-world example of the scandal's significance can be seen in the political machinations that followed, particularly King Philip IV's efforts to contain its fallout and the subsequent actions of his son, Louis X, which included the annulment of his marriage to Marguerite. Another instance is the role this scandal played in heightening public disillusionment with the monarchy, casting a long shadow over the legitimacy of royal succession and governance. Opinions vary on the motivations behind the exposure of the scandal, with some historians suggesting it was a power play orchestrated by Philip IV to assert control, while others argue it was a reflection of genuine moral outrage. The affair also invites alternative interpretations, such as viewing it through the lens of gender dynamics, where the scandal becomes an illustration of how women in positions of power were constrained and punished by patriarchal structures. In essence, the key figures in the Tour de Nesle Affair acted as pivotal agents in a drama that not only captivated contemporaries, but also illuminated the vulnerabilities within royal institutions. Their actions, and the subsequent reactions, underscore the interconnectedness of personal indiscretions and political repercussions, illustrating how private affairs can cascade into events of national importance and even alter the course of history. In the context of the Tour de Nesle Affair, France's royal scandal that led to war, the heading "Unfolding of Events: The Royal Family's Crisis" focuses on the chain of events that thrust the French royal family into turmoil, precipitating a broader conflict. The affair revolved around the wives of the sons of King Philip IV, who were accused of adultery, leading to a scandal that challenged the legitimacy of the Capetian line. This crisis began when Isabella of France, Philip's daughter and Queen of England, accused her sisters-in-law of infidelity, a claim substantiated by an investigation revealing illicit liaisons at the Tour de Nesle. This scandal was significant due to its profound impact on the royal succession and the destabilization it caused within the French monarchy. As legitimacy and bloodlines were paramount in medieval Europe, the potential illegitimacy of heirs threatened the continuity of the ruling dynasty. Notably, this scandal is credited with triggering the subsequent Hundred Years' War, as disputes over rightful succession and claims to the throne became embroiled with international alliances and enmities. Real-world applications of this historical crisis can be seen in how it represents a pivotal moment in the history of royal politics and marital diplomacy. Firstly, it illustrates the critical role royal marriages played in alliance building and how personal scandals could reverberate politically and militarily. Secondly, the incident serves as an early example of media manipulation, as the scandal spread through courtly gossip, affecting public perception and undermining the authority of the monarchy. Supporters of the view that the Tour de Nesle Affair was a catalyst for the Hundred Years' War argue that its impact on the French succession crisis exacerbated tensions, particularly as it provided Edward III of England with a pretext to contest the French crown. However, there are alternative viewpoints suggesting that the war's causes were more rooted in economic and territorial disputes that extended beyond dynastic legitimacy. The unfolding of events during this crisis directly influences the broader narrative of medieval European power politics by highlighting the intricate interplay between personal relationships and political consequences. It underscores how the private indiscretions of royals could escalate into national and international conflicts. Furthermore, it raises questions about the fragility of monarchical systems when personal failures are exposed, illustrating the delicate balance of power, prestige, and accountability that defined the era. This crisis not only reshaped the destinies of those involved, but also illuminated the vulnerabilities inherent in the governing structures of the time. The investigation and initial repercussions, heading in the context of the Tour de Nesle Affair, refers to the inquiry and immediate consequences following the accusations against the daughters-in-law of King Philip IV of France. This scandal unfolded in the early 14th century, when Philip IV's daughter, Isabella, the Queen of England, allegedly discovered and reported to her father that her brother's wives were engaged in adulterous relationships with knights at the Tour de Nesle, a tower in Paris. The significance of this investigation lies in its far-reaching political and familial ramifications. This scandal did not just desecrate the royal reputation, but also threatened the stability of the French monarchy. By accusing the royal family members of infidelity, the investigation sowed seeds of distrust and disarray at the highest levels of governance. These events are rumored to have contributed to the weakening of Philip IV's lineage and indirectly facilitated the onset of the 100 Years' War between France and England. Two striking examples underscore the gravity of this affair. Firstly, the direct result of the investigation led to the imprisonment of the accused sisters-in-law, particularly Margaret of Burgundy, who died in captivity. Secondly, the scandal fractured ties between France and England, exacerbating tensions as Isabella, already known as the she-wolf of France, took drastic steps in England that culminated in the deposition of her husband, King Edward II. The investigation drew mixed opinions. Some historians argue that it was a severe testament to the strict moral codes imposed upon women in the medieval era, often criticized as biased and oppressive. On the other hand, supporters of the royal line view the inquiry as a necessary step to preserve the sanctity and honor of the royal bloodline, integral to maintaining political order. Controversies emerged around the legitimacy of the accusations. There were whispers of political maneuvering, suggesting that the charges were inflated to serve Philip IV's political aims or facilitate Isabella's influence in England. The investigative process highlighted the gendered power dynamics of the time, creating a broader discussion on the roles and rights of royal women in medieval politics. The investigation and its immediate repercussions deeply impacted the royal family's internal dynamics, influencing the inheritance and succession of the French throne. This affair echoes through history not only as a scandalous royal drama, but also as a pivotal episode that shaped the political landscape of medieval Europe, intertwining with broader historical events like the 100 Years' War.